What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another vintage collection market update. We're a little bit late this week because I wanted to show you guys all the stuff that was available for sale or at auction right now at the Hakes auction in January. So the TVC market update is a little bit late, but I got some good items here. There were two different SDCC Death Star box sets that sold in the last few days. I've got some vehicles, I've got some graded, mainly ungraded. So let's go ahead and dig into some vintage collection sales. The first one I thought was an interesting one. This is a Canadian Dengar, and there's been a few of these that have sold recently. This one was by no means perfect. It obviously had some creasing by the hang tab, but a lot of the sellers a lot of sellers on eBay, I notice when they're selling the Canadian version of any card, they don't even mention it in the title. So just look on the, on the top left corner for that multi-language thing, and obviously on the back for the multi-language with the French. And, just keep in mind that the Canadian card backs were produced one for every 10 of the U.S. releases, based on some of the experts that have talked to me about this. So they're very tough to find, especially with the Boba Fett offer error. So, this one's got that error sticker that was only on the Canadian card backs where Boba Fett was misspelled. So, again, it wasn't a perfect card by any means, but it was listed for 125 Canadian, which is 95 US dollars. And you're probably going to pay a little bit more for that when the card's in better condition. This one had a big crease and some edge wear and things like that. But I have noticed, though, on eBay that, again, whether it's the error cards or just Canadian cards in general for TVC 1.0, that a lot of sellers don't even mention it. So just keep an eye out because it is tough to find some of those Canadian early TVC. Next up, we've got the Revenge of the Jedi Boba Fett. I've got the retail release as well as the box set version from the SDCC set. But this is the prototype Fett offer sticker with the paperwork inside. So this was the retail release, again, punched example US card. That one sold in an auction for $100. Only one bid on that one. And then here was the other one that sold. This was a beautiful unpunched example, Revenge of the Jedi. Again, offerless with no paperwork inside. So the sticker wasn't missing from the front. This one would be an example that came most likely from the SDCC box set. And that one sold for $110, which I thought that was a really good deal given that this was the offerless Revenge of the Jedi Boba Fett. So good deal on that one. Next up, the same thing. This is the Revenge of the Jedi Rebel Commando offerless, and that one sold for $80. So, I don't know if some of these did appear in retail that were offerless, but I always associate the offerless Revenge of the Jedi card backs with no paperwork inside the blister as being from the SDCC box set. But that one did sell for $80. Next up, here was the Gungan Warrior, and this one was over in the UK, so it had that multi-language warning sticker on the back, as well as the two warning stickers in the upper left and right on the front of the card back. That one sold for 89 pounds, which is 113 US dollars. I found two other data points for the US version without these warning stickers that were a little bit higher, about 125 or so. So that was a pretty nice looking example, though. Here was a Grand Moff Tarkin. Again, this was another European example with the multi-language kind of warning sticker on the back. And that one sold for 150 pounds, which is about almost 200 US dollars. Now, in the US, this one goes for a little bit less. It seems like Grand Moff Tarkin has come back down a little bit. I've seen as low as $100 to around 150, just depending on condition and, how the sellers are pricing it out. This one was admittedly a very, very clean example. The card looked pretty much case fresh. So a pretty good deal on that one. Next up was Lumat. Again, this one was in Australia, and I was kind of confused on this price because it seems really high to me. And maybe it's just because down in Australia they don't have as much inventory, so somebody in Australia was willing to pay a little bit more for it. But this was a beautiful unpunched example for Lumat, and it sold for 350 Australian, which is 238 US dollars. Now, here in the US, I feel like very consistently you can pick this up for under $140. So, again, it might just be a fact of, hey, we're in Australia. We don't get tons of these like you guys do in the US, but that one did sell for 238 US. Here was Darth Vader on Emperor's Wrath VC 115. This one seems to be kind of hovering around $150, and that's what this one sold for an unpunched US card. A little bit of card curl, but nothing that can't be fixed in a star case. $150 on that one in a buy it now situation. I thought this was a pretty good deal here. This was the VC000 Yak face on the Power of the Force card that came inside the Katana Sail Barge HasLab project, and this one looked pretty clean overall. I didn't really see much in the way of scuffing on the front of the card or kind of indentations, but very clean example. That one was listed for $200, and the best offer accepted on that was $185. So that one's definitely come back down a little bit, although that was a very clean example as well. Here is the Katana Sail Barge, and this one sold in a buy it now situation for $22.50. I've seen as high as $2,500 here recently, but this one was still sealed in the shipper box. $22.50 plus $150 shipping, so let's call that about $2,400 after shipping costs. Here was the B-Wing mint and sealed box, and I believe this was a Kmart special. Yeah, this was the Kmart exclusive B-Wing fighter. That one sold for $210 plus $30 shipping, so pretty big number on that one, but the box looked pretty clean. Just a couple of scuffs here and there, but a very nice example for that original issue B-Wing. Here was the Kmart exclusive Scout Walker. I hadn't seen this one in a little while. This is the first time I've seen one. They did have some crunching on the right-hand side, so take that for what you will, but it was $115, $116, free shipping on that one, but the box was not in perfect shape, but pretty decent shape overall. Here was the Republic Gunship. This is another one that is always highly coveted, and I thought this price was pretty good, really. This was mint and seal box. It just had a couple of corner wear. Oh, I'm sorry, it was not mint and seal box, so that's why it sold so cheap. Usually mint and seal box, I see them going kind of $650-ish. So this one was not mint and seal box, though. This one had been opened, but unused contents. So kind of nice to see what's inside that box, because I don't have one of these. But anyway, $500 plus $20 shipping on that one. And again, usually mint and seal box for the Toys R Us Gunship, you're talking $650. That's, or maybe $600 if you're lucky, but this one was definitely an opener, or it was already opened, and someone's going to kind of put it together and display it for their vintage collection. Bib Fortuna, the fat Bib Fortuna Tatooine from the Book of Boba Fett. He was probably my favorite character, favorite release from 2023. I don't know why. Maybe because we're kindred spirits in terms of our looks. But Bib Fortuna Tatooine on that on that Book of Boba Fett cardback, packed in with the Jabba's throne room. This one's kind of bounced back up a little bit. I found 3 different data points that were all at $100. So for a little while there, it was kind of $150, $175. Then it dropped down all the way to $80, and even for very clean examples. But now it seems to be kind of hovering right around $100. So this one's definitely kind of shot up just a little bit. And this certainly was a clean example. And again, I found 3 different sales, all recent, that were $100 plus shipping. Next up, I've got a beautiful graded signed Armorer, and this one was signed by Emily Swallow, who obviously played the Armorer in the Mandalorian series, and it says, "This is the way, the Armorer, Emily Swallow." Beautiful example, and this one was sold by One Stop Comic Shop, graded CAS 85 plus with the Signature Series yellow label. 85, 90, 95 were the sub-scores on that one. It was listed for $300. And the best offer accepted on that was $210. And we've documented a few kind of graded, signed TVC that One Stop Comic Shop has had here lately. They had a Grand Moff Gideon that was sold, similar kind of condition. I think it was a CAS 90. And Daniel over there at One Stop Comic Shop does have some other examples available. So you can go check out his other items on eBay if you're interested in these kind of signed, graded vintage collection items. But I thought that was nice. Here was an ungraded Queen Amidala signed by Natalie Portman, but unfortunately it did have the owner's name on it, Florian. So that kind of holds the value back a little bit, because you're buying something that is kind of personalized. Unless your name is Florian, then you're gonna have to live with that. But Natalie Portman does charge a lot for signature kind of sessions with like Star Wars Autograph Universe or some of those companies that facilitate these autographs. But here was the back of it there, and VC84, kind of a personalized signed Natalie Portman. Now, it was in euros at 600 was the list price, 600 euros, and the best offer that was accepted was 430 euros. So that equates to about, let's call that $475 US for a signed Queen Amidala. Next up, I couldn't find the sales price on this one, and I knew that there's no way it sold for $1,700 US, but this is the VC67 mouse droid. unpunched, very clean. There's only one photo, though, so, you know, you're taking a little bit of a risk there. But this seller did have 100% positive feedback with over 300 transactions. Now, I couldn't find the sales price of this one, but another one, another mouse droid, unpunched, sold on December 14th for $800 US. So I'm assuming it probably sold for around that price. I don't know why it was listed for $1,700. You can buy almost the entire SDCC box set for that price. So, but anyway, that mouse droid was unpunched and it did sell, but there was another data point at $800 for those of you looking. And speaking of that box set, I found two of them that sold, one of them in an auction, one of them in a buy it now. This was a beautiful one sold by Brian's Toys that closed this past Saturday, and it was 100% complete with the mouse droid as well as Salacious Crumb. And that one sold in an auction for $1,755. That's the lowest price I've actually seen in a little while there. It seems like they've been kind of 2,000-ish lately. I'm just going on memory, though. But very nice example there of the SDCC box set. So that one sold in an auction for $1,755. And then this one also sold in an auction. It was a starting bid price of $2,000. Plus $110 shipping, one bid on that one. So two different sales there for the SDCC box set between $1,750 plus shipping or $2,000 plus shipping. So that gives you a pretty good price range for those of you who are into having that one. Next up, there was a graded Bad Batch 4-pack rated AFA 9.0. That one sold for $188 plus $25 shipping, so about $210. And it was uncirculated 9.0 Bad Batch 4-pack. Next up, I've got two different lots that just closed here today, January 2nd. And this lot included all original TVC 1.0. It had the Ahsoka unpunched, the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Clone Wars, Lumat, the Emperor's Roll Guard, Nien and Weequay. So this was a really good deal, sneaky good deal that ended at 7:09 a.m. And so not a lot of people were kind of looking at the end of this auction. And I mean, basically, there's been some recent sales for just the Ahsoka here recently that have sold for $265. And so you're getting all six of these for $265 plus $11 shipping. So that one definitely fell underneath the radar. I didn't see it, or I would have alerted you guys to it in a what to buy video, but that one did sell for $265. That was a great deal. And then the same seller also had this batch that included a punched Star Killer VC100, Shea Vizsla unpunched, and that was a European example with the price stickers in the upper left and right. We had an unpunched Nikto, a punched Grand Moff Tarkin, and then an unpunched Oddball with the Darth Maul offer sticker. So that one sold for $170. So that was a pretty decent deal, but I think honestly this first batch was the best deal, just given that you got an unpunched Ahsoka for basically that price, and you got 5 items thrown in for that. So, but both of them were good deals, don't get me wrong, but I think that the first lot was the better deal. So anyway, just some recent sales for the vintage collection that closed here on eBay. I hope you enjoyed this look at these sales. Thanks as always for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll be back soon.